if you guys don't know or not know this, but this gentleman here that's going to be on the show here momentarily, Anthony T, is probably one of the most talented people you'll ever meet. And he's got a great story. Quality person. And then he's introducing us to Baylor Rayne. Is that right? Okay. I'm glad you guys are both here. So here's a true story, Anthony. One, you can sing show tunes. Are you in production at anything right now, or are you just solely focused on Prodigal Road?
I'm solely focused on Prodigal Road and nursing 2 days a week. So.
But that's hard for us to admit because you're so gifted at performing. You know, I mean, I realize that you're doing your work, but you're so gifted at performing, and I've enjoyed watching you through the years. Matilda was the first one I think I saw you perform. True story. The day before the 4th of July, your founders were speaking. You were not able to make that particular event. It was a small networking group at the Inn of the Hills, and I was there as a guest of Keely Herod, and she wanted me to come and remind me their names again.
Wayne and Susan Johnson.
And they talked about you, and they said you couldn't be there, which was disappointing because I knew that we were going to do Nonprofit Week, and I wanted to reconnect, and because you've been involved with Nonprofit Week for the last couple of years. That was July 3rd. And then the next day, we had July 4th. And we all know what that means. And, you know, this is... Your world is in the recovery community, which is deeply layered with mental health and you know, and many things. Has the flood changed your organization in any way?
I think you can't be in this community and not be changed in some capacity. You know, the work that we do, we're dealing with a lot of people that are coming out of trauma. They've already been through trauma.
Right.
And so when you take, you know, secondary trauma that's going on in the community that people are experiencing just by way of driving down the road or hearing stories, or it affecting people they work with, or it affecting their places of work, things of that nature, you're gonna see trauma kind of make a ripple effect through the community. And so,
right.
Our personal ministry, we are super blessed in the sense of that day I was actually in Pennsylvania on vacation. And I got a text message from one of our guys in our house, and he had stepped out on our front porch and taken a picture of the field between us and Arcadia Loop, and there was water in the field.
Yeah.
And I knew immediately something was amiss whenever we could see the water from our front porch.
Right. And that is something like you're right there on Arcadia Loop. And did you have any damage in your house, or was everything okay?
No, we were absolutely 100% blessed. And so, yeah, we're grateful.
The thing that's interesting about this to me, though, you mentioned trauma. You know, this is I've gotten to know people here in the last, you know, few years who I just consider to be rocks of everything, and just watch them cry. They either knew somebody or they had a neighbor who was impacted in some way. I didn't know what to say half the time. But did that impact any of your residents, or how did you guys cope with this?
So I think the first thing that we always do is we remember that our God never changes.
Yeah.
And that He's a good Father. He's always a provider. And so we've really just, one of the things that the Lord revealed to me is one of the reasons I was allowed to be away from the community when this happened is so that I was in a season of rest. Mm-hmm. And so when I came back, I'm now in this season where a lot of people are really, really tired. They're exhausted. They've been pouring out. And I was able to come back, and now I'm kind of like that second wind, and I've been able to do some things and help in some areas where everyone else was already boots on the ground from day one. But I didn't get back from vacation till like about a week after, and then had another travel event right after that. So I had some time to be kind of separated. But the guys have just been. I mean, they immediately plugged into Cross Kingdom. They went and helped with the distribution center. We've been going out. We did some flood relief across the street from the little furniture store that's right there on the bend going out towards Hunt.
Right.
We were able to do some of that. And so the guys have really been only by the grace of God. I really see that because of our being adamant about the foundation of our ministry being the Word of God and being a relationship with Christ. So we've seen our guys have a really unique response to this event in the sense of they've been very resilient. And it's been really neat to see how it's actually brought us closer. Right. It's brought us closer with our churches that we attend, because our guys attend all different churches. We're actually going to be hosting an event for 3 days. We're just going to be hosting the presence of God in our house. We're clearing out all the furniture out of our living room. It's called The River Remains. And we're going to go from midnight, the night of the 28th, until midnight, the night of the 31st. And it's going to just be 3 days of nonstop worship. And we just wanted to provide a place where people could just come and not have to talk and just be in the presence of God and just worship and spend time together, because that's what we've seen has worked with us. Right. Our men, whenever they've gotten traumatized, whenever they've been feeling the weight, Baylor will just break out the guitar and we'll just worship. And it talks very clearly about praising in the storm. So
tell me, reset us again about how Prodigal Road started with you and the Johnsons, and tell us about that effort.
Yeah. So my personal stories, I had a radical shift in my life. God caused a revelation to me of some trauma that I had been through as a child. And out of that trauma, there were a lot of things internally that kind of got twisted up. And the enemy just loves to come in and he rides on trauma, and he comes in and he just plants seeds of doubt and lies. And so out of my own experience back in 2022, in March of 2022, I gave my life back to the Lord. I got radically saved, and I wanted to provide a place where men could, if they're in recovery or they're seeking a relationship with the Lord, we kind of modeled the social model of recovery, which is what you see in most sober living homes here in Kerrville, with a Christian discipleship model. Right. We're the only ones that are doing that. It's a very unique model. We're actually also the only accredited Texas Recovery Oriented Housing Network recovery home in the community. And so we founded that. What does that mean
to be accredited like that? How important is that for your organization?
It's only important in the sense of it helps us know that we had a body that's an accrediting body that got the blessing of the government that said, we trust you. Trone is the name of the organization. We trust you, Trone, to tell us whether or not the homes that are operating are doing everything that's industry standard. Right. And so it's not important in the sense of, the only importance to us was that we wanted to make sure that what we're doing is actually going to provide the best results. Right. So we wanted to make sure our men were being served.
And so, so the journey you had gone through this trauma yourself. There's a lot with your story to unpack itself, but it led you where? How did you get into you were the Salvation Army for a little bit, but this is something that I knew you were working on, you were percolating on.
Yeah. So I had this download from the Lord. I really felt like the vision was actually planted while I was still in my addiction. Yeah. But I got plugged into a church here in Kerrville, Cross Kingdom Church, back in 2022. And that's how I met Wayne and Susan. They invited me to their small group, and we just started talking. I started sharing with them kind of, hey, I have this dream of having a men's Christian sober living home. Right. And so we started talking about that. What would that entail? And we had lots of time in the car, and so we talked about it for several months, and then we started praying. Right. And the Lord told us to steer away from calling it sober living and do Christian discipleship, because we want to help men that are not necessarily. You don't have to have a drug or alcohol addiction to come into our program. We do help men that are in that have had some sort of addiction in their background. So whether it's technology, we've had men come in with technology addiction, pornography addiction, whatever the case may be. But we help these men work through the core traumas of what's kind of led them down these roads. Right.
And then standing up Prodigal Road, how long did that take? What was the journey on that one?
So we had a really unique journey. We had to apply for our 501c3, and the everybody was telling us our CPA was telling us it would take about 6 to 8 months. We applied and we got a letter 25 days later, and we thought it was a letter saying we had received your application, but it was actually a letter saying, hey, your 501c3 has been approved. So we had a very unique journey.
It was quick, right?
It was quick. Yeah, it was very quick. And so God's been kind of moving us. Sometimes we say we're trying to catch up with what God's doing because he's just blessed everything that we've been doing. And I really believe it's because it's not our idea. It's not something we're doing. It's something he gave us to steward. And I think that when we steward that correctly, I think that's every organization in town. When something is given by God and you steward it correctly, God can breathe on it.
Right.
And so that was our unique experience, is that God just came in and he just breathed.
Right.
And we've seen radical exponential growth in what we're doing.
Right. And then that led you to the home. Right. And how long did that take for you guys to set that up?
So we had been told about the home in August of 2023. And in November of 2023, our first resident had moved to town. We knew he was going to be moving in, but he had moved into another living situation. And I felt like the Lord said, whenever he gets to town, the house is going to be ready. Well, I'd seen the inside of the house. I had seen the renovation that was happening and what needed to happen. And so I didn't think that was possible, but they pulled it off. And so we actually moved into the home, myself and our first resident, in November of 2023. And we officially launched the home on January 1st at midnight. We did a New Year's Eve party into New Year's Day.
That's right.
On January 20 of 2024. And so we've been a home since January 1st of 2024. And we've helped, gosh, I think we're going on 26 men. Not all of those have succeeded. Some of them have come in and found out that what we're doing is not quite a good fit for them. But we've had some really, really awesome success stories of families being reunited. And we're actually about to graduate our third. It's going to be our second and third graduate of the full 1-year discipleship program.
Wow, great. Yeah. And introduce us to Baylor.
So Baylor is our assistant manager. Baylor was actually a resident of mine when I was managing a home for Robert Duncan. Robert Duncan owned a couple of recovery homes here in town, and I was managing a home for him, and Baylor was one of my residents. And Baylor was in a different spot in his life at that point, but I'll let Baylor tell you kind of how he came about.
Yeah, well, I'd gone to treatment coming out of a rather extensive methamphetamine addiction. And I got out of treatment, and I was still figuring out what my journey of recovery would look like. I'd been honestly hurt a little bit in the church and was processing through some of that and some of the ways that we get our eyes on people instead of, beyond them. Right. And so I started working just the 12 steps, and there's at one point in the 12 steps where, you're asking God to take defects of character. And the defects of character I was interested in surrendering at that moment was mostly just my methamphetamine addiction.
Yeah.
And I just didn't anticipate that he was going to keep going, and he was going to keep going after little wounds and unmet needs throughout my life, from growing up without a father. And he sure did. He kept going. He kept peeling back layers of that onion. It's kind of the way that I put it. And after that, it was about a year and a half after I had initially met Anthony, and God kept kind of taking me deeper into the whole, like, you have wounds. Your church hurt, and you need to deal with that. And ended up getting connected with him. That was 18 or so months ago now.
Yeah, and I want to say, like, Baylor had a massive God experience in the sense of, like, whenever he interviewed, I'll never forget. I didn't want to be involved in the interview process because I actually, I had some really hard things, some hard accountability for Baylor when he was in our previous home, or in the home I previously managed. And so I had told the board, I want y'all to decide to make sure it's really the Lord. And when Baylor came in, he had such a massive experience. It was so evident that God was working on his heart. And when he came in, if you would have told me that Baylor was going to be my assistant manager when he first moved in. I would have laughed at you.
Right.
I just didn't feel like that was something that he was called to. But I've seen such a massive shift. And one thing that I want to highlight that he said is that he had some father wounds, and that's what we're in the business of doing. Is we're raising up kingdom fathers, and we're going after their relationship with the heart of the Father, and really, really working on that with their earthly fathers, and helping them understand how their relationship with their heavenly Father is going to be very proportional to their relationship with their earthly father.
Because, defeating or overcoming, I don't know if you ever truly defeat it, but just managing or overcoming a methamphetamine addiction is so difficult. What was the trigger for you to, I got to get out of this,
I just came across a picture recently that my mother had sent me from like the depth of my addiction, and I just recently put those two pictures up side by side, and it was like, oh, that's why. Yeah. It's obvious the way that drug in particular will wither you away. It won't kill you quick; it'll kill you slow.
Yeah. Yeah. It just eats you away. Yep. Yeah. It just does horrible things to you, and so that picture was like, maybe here's what you look like now, and here's what you look like before, or what was that like?
Yes. It was a before and after.
And then we're talking about accountability. So this guy was tough on you. What was that like?
Well, so I was a little bit messy. I was still doing music full time.
Yeah.
When I first met him, and when I first got out of treatment, and regarded just according to the flesh, like the band was doing well.
Yeah.
Things from the way it looked, everything was going well. I was off crystal meth, so that was good. I never went back to that.
Yeah.
But I was still playing with alcohol and weed and other things like that, and not while I was in the house, but as soon as I wasn't, I didn't have that level of accountability. Right. So it was like, I can do that. And I was still extremely messy. To the extent where it's like, I'd come in from a show late at night, and I was tired. It had been a emotionally exhausting day, and so I would just kind of throw my stuff on the floor, and then Anthony the next day would come and be like, "What the heck?" You know?
Right.
And I don't think I anticipated that we would be here either. Yeah, honestly.
Well, and Baylor and I, we talked about like the fact that he, I've brought a lot in the sense of like I am a little bit OCD when it comes to cleanliness and order.
Right.
And so that's something that I hope that I've imparted some to Baylor. I've seen him change a lot, but one thing that he's imparted to me is patience. Like the ability to really just like let people be in their process and be patient with them in their process, and not be so rigid and having to be like feel like I have to be the one to fix it.
Right. Are you gonna be like, you're like that guy? We all know those people too. Like, you put this down here, this piece of paper down on the floor here, and you're like, I just throw it down, and like, you're gonna pick that up. You're gonna pick that up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's me.
And then Baylor's like, I'll get to it, man.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, that's I understand that. I understand what that's like. But building this though, what does success look like for you? Give us that success, and why this is so important for our community and for the both of you.
So I think that the one reason it's important for our community is we've got a lot of really great people that are doing really great work in the recovery housing arena, and something that we just feel like we can improve just a little bit in the sense of these other houses are secular homes, and so there's no like moral code in the sense of like the moral code is like we want you to be sober, we want you to improve your life, we want you to work the steps, and that's working for a lot of people, but it's hard for those people that are managing those homes to really have a baseline value of like, how do I hold somebody accountable for not watching inappropriate stuff on TV that's going to feed their trauma or whatever the case may be. But if I have a home that's based in Christian values, it's very simple. Like, I just take them to the Word of God. I just take them to what the Word of God says, And so we wanted to do something like that for those that want that, right? So I'm not out here to tell everybody that every home needs to be a Christian home like that. There are homes that are doing great work and people are getting sober and they're having great lives and they're seeing success and they're getting businesses and they're building businesses and they're doing amazing work. I just felt like that there were people in the community that wanted a deeper revelation of Jesus and that wanted a place to be able to kind of hash that out. And so there wasn't a place that provided a place for Jesus and the fact that I'm an addict alcoholic, that I have an addiction. And so we wanted a place where, yes, we believe like you believe. We believe in Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior, but we also have walked through trauma and addiction. And we want to marry those two things together. And so success for us looks like everybody that wants a relationship with Jesus that has an addiction to find a place that they can belong. So we partner very closely with Mercy Gate Ministries. We have a non-residential program where men can come and participate in our program even if they don't live in the home. So they can come on Wednesday nights and every other Sunday night, and then they go through a 1-year 4-phase discipleship program that each phase is 12 weeks long, and each phase has a workbook. They have a mentor that they work with. They're going through prayer ministry, inner healing. So it's a bona fide program. And so success for us looks like this model getting duplicated. We'd love to see it in multiple communities across the U.S. We'd love to see it. Actually, we have people in Brazil that want to potentially open homes like this in Brazil because there's nothing like this down there. So, I mean, success for us is doing whatever God calls us to. Right. So wherever God puts in front of us, if we're able to do it and do it successfully and steward what He's given us well, then that's success to us.
So you got yourself back. Oh, go ahead, Baylor. Go ahead.
Well, so I was just thinking, one thing for me that has made a difference is today I'm surrounded by a community with agreed upon core principles and values, and that is huge. Right. So like, just quick side note, the band that I was previously in, we had 3 lead members, and we all had different core values, and so it felt like we were getting pulled in different directions at one time on one stage. And I think that this kind of helps to navigate that and kind of prevent some of that.
Right, and that's an important part of this as well. I mean, but working the two of you together, though, how do you guys work together? What does that look like for the both of you? I mean, as far as you're the assistant manager, you're the manager, and you're back to the position too where you've recovered enough that you're back to nursing too. Yeah. How big of a job was that?
So that takes up 2 days of my week completely. Yeah, right. And I work at
one point you were like, I'm not going. I
didn't think I was going to go back. Right? Yeah, I didn't think I was going to go back. I kind of had just.
You're an RN.
I'm an RN. Yeah. I kind of had just given up. Like I kind of just was like, well, that was an opportunity that I lost. Just because of my choices. But as far as Baylor and I, I'm the executive director of the whole organization, so I have more than just the house that I manage. Right. And then he's the assistant manager of the house, but I currently live in the house and act as a bona fide house manager. Yeah. And so I've been slowly trying to back out of that role, and Baylor's been really, really stepping in. But a lot of it is I'm discipling him. I'm discipling him in this is what leadership in this capacity looks like. This is what's expected. These are the places where you're going to have to watch your relationships with the guys in the house and have boundaries, because everybody's going to want to be your friend, but you have to sometimes have tough love. And so the way that we work in a very unique way, Baylor, I want to give kudos to Baylor. I've never met another person that understands submission to authority and honor than Baylor. All right. I know that no matter what, if I ask Baylor to do something, even if he disagrees, even if it's something that he'll come to me later and he'll say, you know what, I don't agree with the way that we're doing this, but he's going to do it in the moment. And that's what that's what partnership needs to look like. And spiritual authority, when we come under spiritual authority, and this can be in any role, even in the secular world, when you're working under a manager, you need to have honor for the people that you work for, and know how to go to them and say, hey, I don't agree with what you're doing. I'm going to do it because you're my boss, right? But I don't agree with it. Let's talk this out. And so Baylor does that extremely well. And so we have a very unique relationship in the sense of we're brothers. He's going to be a groomsman in my wedding. Nice. And so we're friends, but we're also teammates and comrades. So
the Baylor, we got about 90 seconds left. Give me the pitch for Prodigal Road. Someone says, I want to help you guys, or I want to donate money, or I want to make sure that you guys are viable. What would you say to that person?
Well, if you want to partner with a team that is dedicated to helping men recover from trauma and addiction, I'd say we're a good fit for that.
Yeah. And how would you pitch that, Anthony?
So I would say, if you want to see families restored and kingdom men raised up to take their rightful place in the home and in the family, men that have been told that they'll never be able to take that place, then what we're doing, partner with what we're doing. And we don't necessarily need you to be a financial partner. We need volunteers, we need mentors, we need boots on the ground when we're doing our fundraising, when we're doing events in the community. We go out and do homeless outreach. We do community outreach all the time, once a quarter. And so that's what it looks like.
Now, if somebody said to you, Anthony, just gonna throw this out here for a second. Now, if somebody said, "Okay, look, I'll give you $1 million, but here's the deal, Anthony, you got to be in the latest musical at the Callow Theater," would you do it?
If somebody said they had $1 million and I needed to be in the musical, I think I might do that.
What was your give me just real quick, what was your favorite, what's been your favorite musical to perform?
We did For Such a Time as This. That was written by Rob Ward and Lou King, two locals. That was amazing. But I think my all-time favorite was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
I bet, yeah.
I played Joseph.
Yeah.
Lots of the kids around town were kids at that time, and then now they're graduating from high school and seeing me at Culver's, and
right.
So I'm starting to feel a little old after that musical, but that was probably my favorite.
I just enjoyed you so much in Matilda, and that's where I first got. I think I first got to know you there, and then just through Salvation Army work, and then this as well. I'm really happy and proud of the work you've been doing. And Baylor, good to meet you as well.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much.
Thank you guys for being here.
We appreciate
it very much. All right, you guys have a good rest of your day.
Thank
Coming
you.
up next,
Bless you.
the